Oby Ezekwesili, popularly known as Oby Ezekwesili, is a Nigerian chartered accountant from Anambra State. She is married to Pastor Nedu Ezekwesili of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. Oby Ezekwesili is a leading chartered accountant who was co-founder of the global anti-corruption group, Transparency International. She's also one of the co-conveners of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign to find 300 Nigerian schoolgirls abducted by Boko Haram in 2014. She has held several key positions within the Nigerian government, including Senior Special Assistant to the President of Nigeria on Budget Monitoring and Price Intelligence, Minister of Minerals Resources, and Minister for Education. During her time as the Education Minister, she led an extensive and comprehensive reform campaign of her blueprints for overhauling that sector is reference document from which other countries in Africa have borrowed ideas. Ezekwesili's career is defined by a pursuit of transparency, accountability, and policy reforms in Africa, encompassing governance, economics, education, and natural resources endowment for Africa. In Oby Ezekwesili's words, her presidency will not only work to create an enabling environment for our young people to explore their greatest potentials and be globally competitive, but they will actually empower the government. Building young capital will be an urgent priority of our ACPN government.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us on Plus TV Africa, and congratulations on your emergence as the presidential candidate for Allied Congress Party of Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
My first question is this: why have you decided to contest for the presidency of Nigeria?
I have decided to contest for the presidency of Nigeria because it is very clear that our country needs to be rescued. As a matter of fact, I consider my declaration for presidency as being a declaration for us to mobilize ourselves as citizens to rescue our country. The country is in dire strait. We can't afford even 4 months of continuing to operate at the level that we are operating. And so it is important that we should collectively decide to change the direction of leadership of our country so that we can begin the very arduous work of building a new society.
Now, I was at your World Press Conference, and you did talk a lot about the country, and you sounded very confident about your chances of emerging as the next president of Nigeria. What gives you this confidence, judging by the fact that your political party is relatively new?
Well, that's exactly why I'm going to win this election, because I am the more or less the new kid on the block. I come with a different message of what we must do as a country. Nigerians have a strong appetite for something different. There's been cyclical pattern of failure, the entrenched kind of politics that is politics of power and power grab, power for the sake of power, while the country just descends into destabilization and economic stagnation. Look at the kind of misery and despondency that we have in the society. People are tired of the failure, and so people need something different. They need to see that there would be sacrificial leadership. That's what I represent. I embody this courage that Nigeria does not have to be trapped in mediocrity. I called it aggressive mediocrity of our political class. I think it's time for us to say goodbye to that. And my own position is that the dominant political class are running for themselves. I am the one who is running for the Nigerian people. I am the candidate of the people of Nigeria, and the people of Nigeria are more than our political class.
Now, you're a different class of politician, even though you just joined politics recently, and the way politics is done in Nigeria, they have weaponized poverty. If you look at the Human Development Index that the World Bank just released, we're on the bottom rung of basically everything. How do you plan to play this politics, or do politics, by making money irrelevant? I'm not saying that, of course, you need money for logistics and to move around and all of that, but the vote buying, the gifts, the inducement, because people, the hardcore poor people, that's what they gravitate to. So
I need you to know that in 2015, there were 67 million or such registered voters for the elections. There were only 34 million of them, or about 32 million of them, that bothered to do the accreditation in preparation to vote. On the day of the election, only 28 million came out to vote. 15 million for the winner, being our current president, and 30 million voters for the president, the former president that he defeated. Now, what does that say to you? What it says to you is that voter apathy had set in so badly that more than about 40 million of the people that had the card did not bother to engage our democracy. And majority of those people would say to you that they were not interested in voting one out of what they call the lesser of two evils. So they decided not to have anything to do with our democracy. Now, the thing about that cashment of the Nigerian voters is that you mostly find them amongst the middle income, educated Nigerian class, who simply are saying it's a waste of my time to engage this democracy because the choices that I'm faced with are horrible. And this year, we already see that an additional 14 million new voters have entered the register. Now compare that number to the 28 million that engaged in the elections. So the real strategy for us is to engage with a class of and block of Nigerian voters who have simply said, this is not doable. This is not something I want to be part of. And we need to get them into that mood where that mode where they, that mode where they are thinking of the rescue of our country. This country is in a precipitous situation, and we need to rally as a people to make that happen. So the message of our own campaign is a message that says, don't expect us to give you money. We're going to show you the evidence of why you must do something different. You accepting 4,000 is basically sacrificing the future. And that future is actually already now. So, and then we are doing it in a way that we're using digital and analytical tools, and we're using data, and we're connecting to social networks. So we're not the typical, we don't want to have the entrenched, corrupted structure of existing parties. We are here determined to show that what happened in Brazil just some days ago can also happen in our country.
Now, looking at the geopolitical arrangements of Nigeria, there's a somewhat type of unwritten power shifting arrangement and zoning. Just last week, the Honorable Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Fashola, said Yorubas, appealing to ethnic primordial sentiments, that Yorubas should vote for President Buhari because they will stand a chance to produce a president in 2023. Is this a concern for you, the politics of ethnicity, and what do we need to do to shake it off?
So Nigerians who have been at the receiving end of poor governance frankly don't care what language the leader that would rally the society to build a vibrant and prosperous democracy, a democracy that's not just prosperous, but one that offers equality of opportunity to everyone, regardless of what zone they are from. They don't care where that person is from. The man who is living in abject poverty, out of the 87 million Nigerians that are now known to live in extreme poverty, the one who is living in such class in Kano, that is not different from the woman living in such class in Ibadan, not different from the young woman living in such class in Nnewi, and not different from the young man who is living in such class in Bayelsa. So the Nigerian people are tired of bad governance. They're tired of the leadership failures. What they want is someone who can lead in a way that we can build a nation where they can see that they have a stake in it. And that's what matters. It is the political class that carry on with this artificial construct of zoning. Their zoning, how has it improved the lot of even their own people. Which of the presidents can you say, you know, the people are screaming, oh, great, you know.
People in their hometown
That's what
live
I
like they're in
mean.
Singapore
I am
or
saying that.
United
And
Arab
basically,
Emirates. Yeah.
you know, so, you know, I mean, we know a particular state in the country where you have more than one person who has previously led the country. Is there a lot any better than that of the rest of the country? We just have been a people unfortunate with leadership, and we must change it.
It's been 19 years of uninterrupted democratic experience, and if you go as far back as 1983, and you look at the newspapers, the pre-Shagari campaigns, it's basically the same issues: light, electricity. We haven't made much progress as a people, and there's been talks about, yeah, the reason why we're not making a lot of progress is because of restructuring. Are you in support of restructuring, and what type of restructuring do you think Nigeria should do, or do you support?
It is very clear that we are in a state of structural imbalance. Even if we didn't know it before, we know it now. We know that we don't have the kind of structure that enables us to achieve high accelerated productivity and competitiveness. And so my own conversation around restructuring is going to be the one that talks about how do we have structures that enable our productivity and competitiveness to be on a higher rate of growth every time for the Nigerian individual, for the Nigerian state, for the Nigerian business environment. So restructuring is a conversation that we must have, but we have to have it with an end in mind. And that end in mind is the restructuring that enables the economic prosperity of our country. The economic prosperity that brings in everybody. That sense that we are pursuing inclusive growth and that we are maximizing the opportunities that each person and each section of this country can contribute to the process of our economic development. Yes.
Now, you used to be former vice president of the World Bank. You've advised heads of states. You've worked at international development at the highest levels. How would you bring this wealth of experience into governance in Nigeria if you emerge president?
Oh, well, I mean, I guess you know the answer to that already. Just by declaring that I will run for presidency, the international community is adjusting itself. They're already saying to me that they actually imagine that there would be an Oby Ezekwesili presidency in Nigeria. And so you can imagine the massive goodwill that I would bring to our country. I always say to people that the resources that you require in order to build your economy, to build your society, or to solve your problems, whatever the problem may be, are not usually well understood by people. That partnership is the most critical resource that you need. You know, when you get partnership locally, and you get partnership internationally, and you get partnership across all spectrum of human life, it reduces the amount of things that you have to do by yourself. And then the next thing you need is knowledge, plenty of knowledge. Countries like Singapore, countries like India and China, who are later entrants to this process of rapid economic growth and development, are beneficiaries of knowledge that others produced. So we are going to benefit from that, because I do know that knowledge is a massive resource for development. And then finance is key for development. And, you know, for me, just knowing that space and understanding how, you know, you can mobilize resources by the quality of policies that you put on the table. I am excited about what's possible when I get elected as president of Nigeria.
You did mention partnership, and Nigeria is a democracy. We have different arms of government, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. We've seen the Ninth Assembly's relationship with the executive, even though they have parliamentary majority, it hasn't been so cordial. How would you get your policies and bills to be passed, and how would you get the National Assembly to work with you when you would probably not have any members from your party in the National Assembly?
No, we will have members of my party. We do have
Maybe,
people who are running.
Maybe not a majority.
Yeah, we wouldn't.
Yes.
We won't. But then, you know, real politics is the fact that when people get elected into office and they are in the legislature, and they understand that policies of a certain nature are important for their people. They don't want to be seen by their people opposing the politics that would make life better for them. So you can imagine that we are going to be a party of the people. The people will know the basis of every decision that we're making. I am going to be a very engaged president. If anything that concerns our citizens, everything that concerns our citizens would have me, you know, absolutely engaged, and being able to take the feedback from them, being able to organize the thoughts that would enable us make a difference in their lives. I am not running to have the title of Madam President. I am running to solve the problems of the people. And so the way and manner that I would engage the process of my leadership would make and persuade those who would have been wanting to come against it, to say, you know what, we just surrender. They're going to be surrendering, I tell you.
Now, the ordinary Nigerian has been battered, and they praise the level of discourse and politics in Nigeria is so pedestrian. A president or a governor does what is constitutionally required to do, pay salaries, you know, pay pensions, and these are used as campaign propaganda, if I may use that word. How do we, in the run-up to the 2019 election, how do we get the ordinary Nigerians to ask the relevant questions? How do we elevate the level of discourse in our politics?
I think people already are saying that my entry into the race has taken the conversation away from is incompetence better than corruption? You know, I mean, come on. How, for goodness sake? How did we get to this kind of a vortex? And so the fact that I am in this race means that we're going to be discussing what does it take to rescue our country. We're going to be issue-based. We're going to be issue-driven. As you know, I'm embarking on a national tour in order to hear from the people. I'm talking to the market women, the young people, the mechanics, the pastors, the imams. I'm talking to the girls. I'm talking to the boys. I'm talking to the children. Why is that so? I already have a sense of what direction we should be going, but it's important that I should hear how consistent my thoughts are with the thoughts of the people that I seek to govern, right? So in the course of that, you would see that my total focus is going to be on solving problems. Leadership is to solve problems. Unfortunately, we've not had that attitude on the part of our leaders. Our leaders sort of see being in an office as an opportunity to be a lord. I don't seek that. I seek to be a problem solver, because I believe that if we don't solve our problems now, we are going to be in serious trouble. I actually look at the people who don't understand how enlightened self-interest works, that it requires you to make sure that you don't destroy a society that has given the best of opportunity to you by ignoring those who are on the sidelines of privilege and opportunity that you have had. So for me, I am totally on this journey on the basis of substance. And the way that we're going to do our messaging is going to be so simple that in every language that the Nigerian must understand what is in their self-interest to do as electorate, what is in their power to do as those who occupy the office of the citizen. We will engage with them.
And I do believe you have a policy document at some point.
Oh my God, we do. Yeah. We do. So it's after my tour that we're going to, you know, present the document, you know, and it's fantastic.
It's a few months to the 2019 general elections. Do you think you have time, and do you have confidence in the Independent National Electoral Commission to be truly independent and act as an unbiased umpire?
A day is a very long time in politics. Very, very long time. And, you know, the process that we're we're embarked upon is not a process where I am that sole person trying to convince the whole of Nigeria. Will be trying to convince the whole of Nigeria that it is time to reset our country. And that if we're going to reset our country, we need leadership for a new direction. So you're going to see that it's not going to just me. You know, the number of volunteers on the campaign is already just unbelievable. The kind of excitement that people have that this is our presidency. The citizens of Nigeria, it's their presidency. Because anyone who's followed my track record would know that it's never about me. I don't care about me. I mean, look, I have been, the fortunate thing about my life is that I have actualized in terms of the things that would worry anybody, the kind of assignments that I have been privileged to do in my life. I mean, at an age where my contemporaries are doing great things, but they would look at what, you know, God has enabled me to do and say, this is quite exceptional. So and with results, you know, whether it's in my time in private sector or my time in a government or my time in civil society or my time in economic development across the continent, my time with the World Bank, I have been able to prove that there is a track record on which I run. So I do not think that this is my campaign. This is our campaign. We have a hashtag that says, not running alone. We are all running. All Nigerians are running with me. So the 4 months is sufficient time. I mean, if it could have been 1 year ago, but it wasn't 1 year ago, because it got to a time when I realized that if I didn't get into this, we would be boxed in again with what Nigerians now call two evils, out of which they now have to choose the lesser one. Well, I think that the common denominator in that is evil. How did we get to the place where we now say to ourselves that we deserve evil? I am here to disrupt that pattern of thought.
Finally, there's no way I would sit down here with you and we won't discuss the Chief of Girls.
Yes, please.
And Leah Sharif.
Yes, yes.
Security is a big issue in Nigeria,
Major.
and it's the reason why they were kidnapped in the first place. Do you think you do a better job as Commander-in-Chief and secure the country better than a retired general in Nigeria?
Oh, I certainly will. Because one of the things that we now know about leadership is that it is fungible. You can take leadership skills within one context and move it into another context and do extremely well. And because I am one who is given to the thought that the life of the one Nigerian is much more important than anything we have in our public treasury, it means that I am going to be all out as a commander-in-chief to command the forces in the way that we are using every means to secure the lives and the properties of our people. I am one who is given to the workings of technology and how technology can help us solve a lot of problems. I am one who is given to the idea of a security system that is not just based on militaristic security, but is human security. And it's a broader sense of the engagement of your people in safeguarding their society. So definitely, I will be the best commander-in-chief that you would have had by the time I'm president.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you.